Hi, SOMA West neighbors. My name is Adam, and I'm a board member with the SOMA West Neighborhood Association. When we conducted our recent State of the Neighborhood survey, you made your priorities incredibly clear. There's so much we love about SOMA. We love our extraordinary diversity, our art scene, and our cultural richness. We are proud to be a sanctuary for the LGBT community, home to 3 official cultural districts, and the center of the city's best nightlife and dining. Our defining characteristic is our vibrant mix of residents, artists, and small businesses, and we have always done our part to help the city's most vulnerable. But right now, the mix is out of balance. In our recent State of the Neighborhood survey, you told us you were exhausted by the overwhelming concentration of city services placed here, and the challenging conditions that come with them. We heard you. Today, we took the unprecedented step of filing a detailed, nearly 50-page complaint with state regulators. In this video, a small group of your neighbors will give you the TLDR version so you know what we found and what we're asking. Our complaint utilizes the city's own data to prove a very difficult truth. San Francisco is deliberately operating a dual housing system. It systematically shields affluent West Side neighborhoods from their fair share of affordable housing and shelters, while intentionally funneling extreme poverty and high acuity services directly into SOMA. They have turned our home into a designated containment zone. As you know, in SOMA, we are proudly pro-housing. We welcome new development, we advocate for streamlined building approvals, and we strongly support affordable housing as a critical citywide solution. But being pro-housing does not mean consenting to being an illegal containment zone. The state law explicitly requires San Francisco to affirmatively further fair housing, which includes an obligation to deconcentrate poverty and integrate its neediest citizens into high-resource neighborhoods. We are not asking the city to cut a single dollar of services. We are demanding the city follow the law and build these exact same services with geographic equity. This is the same promise city leaders committed to in their 2023 housing element. Over the last 3 years, however, our complaint shows they did the exact opposite.
Hi, my name is Leah. To prove this to the state, we could not just rely on our daily experiences. We had to do the math. The state of California measures geographic fairness using something called a location quotient. Think of a score of 1 as a neighborhood carrying exactly its fair share. Anything over 1.25 is considered a high concentration. Today, SOMA has an affordable housing location quotient of 3.21. That means we are carrying more than 3 times our equitable share of the city's burden. A full third of our own housing stock is restricted affordable housing. San Francisco actually publishes its affordable housing pipeline to show what is planned. In the pipeline, wealthy West Side neighborhoods will still remain virtually insulated with location quotient of just 0.1. Despite Mayor Lurie's new family zoning plan, the city has no real strategy to achieve equity anytime soon and does not appear to be trying. What does this look like in actual new affordable units? In SOMA, despite the existing concentration, we will still have more than 900 new units planned. In other high-resource neighborhoods, there is no real pipeline at all. Just look at the neighborhoods here: the Marina with only 9 units, Outer Richmond, Noe Valley, and Inner Sunset with no plans for equity. This extreme concentration extends to homeless shelters. The city frequently claims they place services in SOMA because that is where the unhoused population lives. This is mathematically false. SOMA accounts for only 11% of the city's unsheltered population, yet our neighborhood is forced to absorb 28% of the city's entire shelter capacity. That gives our neighborhood a location quotient of 2.55, which again qualifies as extreme concentration. When you put all these facilities on a map, the visual proof is undeniable. Every dot you see here represents a city-funded shelter, navigation center, or permanent supportive housing site. As you can see, the city packs almost all of these high acuity facilities directly into SOMA and the Tenderloin. Meanwhile, the vast majority of San Francisco, especially the high resource neighborhoods on the west side, are left completely untouched. This isn't an accident. This is what a deliberate, city-engineered containment zone looks like.
Hi, my name is Sean. When confronted with this, City Hall often argues that they build in SOMA because land is cheaper here. Our complaint dismantles that excuse entirely. The city recently deployed over $157 million in discretionary capital to acquire sites right here in SOMA. The city's own financial analysis showed they paid roughly $175,000 per unit to acquire that land, compared to just $112,000 per unit for a comparable site on the west side. So they're not saving money, they're spending millions of taxpayer dollars to protect exclusionary zoning. Beyond the financial excuses, the city actively bypasses laws. They are misclassifying facilities to skirt the very rules designed to protect neighborhoods from overconcentration. Furthermore, they are using highly restrictive zoning rules on places like 6th Street to intentionally block private investment and mixed income housing. Ultimately, we believe services are placed here because the neighborhood has historically lacked the political voice to stand up for fairness. But with this complaint, that changes. These policies do not just hurt our neighborhood's vitality. They have real life-threatening effects on the very people the city is trying to help. The city is taking vulnerable people struggling with addiction and funneling them into containment zones that also suffer from open-air drug markets. This actively obstructs their recovery. Because of this, SOMA currently suffers an extreme fatal overdose location quotient of 4.88. We are bearing a vastly disproportionate burden of the city's tragic overdose deaths. The services the city provides are vital, and the vulnerable people that rely on them achieve significantly better outcomes when they are geographically dispersed. So in a classic containment zone, a municipality concentrates vulnerable populations into one space and then intentionally reduces basic municipal services. The data here shows this is exactly what is happening to us. As you know from walking around the neighborhood, the city has starved SOMA of green infrastructure, leaving us with a mere 2.7% tree canopy compared to the citywide average of 12.8%. When it comes to police staffing, our complaint shows the city has stretched our emergency responders to the breaking point. This table comes directly from SFPD's own staffing analysis released just a few months ago. As you can see, Southern Station, which covers SOMA, has the second highest workload in all of San Francisco. Each of our patrol officers is forced to take on 390 community calls for service, making it one of the heaviest workloads in the entire city. The result of this understaffing is pretty predictable. Many of you have said you have simply stopped calling the police because they don't show up in time to help. Your experience is not isolated. We looked at the median response times by neighborhood, and just by living in SOMA, we wait 44% longer for police assistance compared to the rest of the city. And for priority C calls, which include quality of life concerns, we wait almost 2 hours on average for the police to arrive.
Hi, I'm Fernando. And sadly, the divestment does not stop there. The city provides dense sanitation infrastructure to wealthy neighborhoods, but do you notice anything different about our neighborhood? Here, the city has literally withdrawn public trash receptacles, which leaves our amazing property tax-funded community benefit district to pick up the slack to the tune of over 90,000 pounds of trash per month. 90,000 pounds. Sometimes with a legal complaint, it is difficult to show the city was aware of the issue or had intent. But the city leaders have repeatedly admitted to the strategy on public record. Last year, there were increased discussions about geographic equity and treating neighborhoods like ours as containment zones. Just listen to our own elected officials acknowledge the harm.
Historically, our respective districts have taken a disproportionate share of homeless services, and the level of saturation we have seen can present enormous challenges to the neighborhoods that we represent. I've seen in District 6 that concentrating our vulnerable populations can too often exacerbate rather than solve issues related to homelessness.
Matt Dorsey represents this district. Why are there so many resources in that area?
This is something that has gone on for decades. The 6th Street corridor in particular has a lot of permanent supportive housing there. From my perspective, we do have a lot of city services that we provide around the Civic Center and Mid-Market area. A lot of that is in South of Market just because of it's on a transit corridor, it's convenient.
I think it is not unreasonable for neighborhoods in San Francisco to see what has happened in some neighborhoods and say, under no circumstances here. What I am sure of is that we don't want to see shelters dotting the land and creating the impacts in all of the neighborhoods of San Francisco in the way that they have impacted a few.
As you can see, the systemic divestment is acknowledged at the highest level of City Hall. They know the policies are deeply harmful, but after these quotes, the Board of Supervisors continue to propose at least 3 additional sites to SOMA, and they are successful with 3 of them, deepening the very concentration they promised to fix. So acknowledging the harm is no longer enough for SOMA. We are demanding accountability, and we are demanding action. So what are we requesting? First, we are asking the state to issue a corrective action letter to San Francisco, legally mandating an immediate end to exclusionary zoning to the west side. Second, we are demanding the state condition all future discretionary funding on achieving geographic equity. Funding for new restrictive affordable housing and shelter projects must be redirected or relocated to well-resourced neighborhoods until geographic parity is achieved citywide. Third, we are formally requesting a referral to the Attorney General's for official investigation. Finally, if the city refuses to dismantle its discretionary zoning strategy and continues on its current path, SOMA West is petitioning the state to formally revoke San Francisco's housing element compliance. We are asking the state to immediately trigger the building's remedy. This would strip the city of its authority to block compliant affordable housing and shelter projects in wealthy exclusionary neighborhoods.
We are drawing a line in the sand, but we cannot do this without your support. Please go to somawestneighbors.org to read the full 46-page legal complaint. While you are there, sign the community petition to show the state that our full neighborhood and others treated like us stand united. And if you've not already, please become a member of the SOMA West Neighborhood Association today. It is time for geographic equity. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at our upcoming neighborhood social events and volunteer opportunities. To close us out, we will share some more quotes from city leaders.
In 1930s, redlining was a policy used to systematically segregate neighborhoods throughout the United States based on race. Today, San Francisco's failure to provide geographic equity segregates people based on the status of their housing and concentrates poverty in certain parts of San Francisco. They are also disproportionately concentrated in a handful of neighborhoods that make it harder for the homeless throughout the city to access the services that they need. And today, urging the Board and Department of Homelessness to honestly take up this challenge by creating a geographically equitable, citywide network of services.
The bulk of services are concentrated downtown and on the east side of the city, but we have seen a significant increase in people experiencing drug addiction and homelessness on the west side. We have almost no nonprofits that connect people to help and no regular outreach by the various city teams that address these issues. Would you please help us by dedicating staff to be assisting homeless people get off the streets and people with behavioral health needs on the west side of town, and coordinating with other departments for badly needed support services?
Well, another new plan to try and solve the homeless crisis in San Francisco. This time the idea is to put new shelters in every district, including wealthy neighborhoods. Now, a couple of San Francisco supervisors are behind it, but as you can imagine, not everyone's happy with the idea.
For too long, certain neighborhoods from Tenderloin, SOMA, Mission to the Bayview have borne the brunt of the responsibility. These are communities of color, immigrants, refugees, on homeless shelters and behavioral health centers.
And the data shows that District 6 has the most emergency shelter beds, while other districts have no emergency shelters at all.
Right now, neighborhoods like the Tenderloin, SOMA, the Mission, and the Bayview provide a majority of the city's shelter beds and behavioral services. This overconcentration isn't only straining our community's schools, businesses, and public spaces, it's created inefficiencies in our service system by placing the bulk of services in just a few neighborhoods, making it harder for those in need in other parts of the city to access shelter or care when they need it most. In several districts, there are literally 0 emergency shelters.
Neighborhoods such as Tenderloin and South Market have shouldered the burden of providing shelter and services to unhoused individuals in our city. This has resulted in decades of saturation of blight in these neighborhoods, and the data confirms this saturation.